It's the Vancouver Hockey Show. Andrew Wadden, producer Aaron here with you as we unpack games 3 and 4 from Edmonton as they're headed back to Vancouver.
Which Vancouver has caught Canucks fever. I was walking back from getting a haircut yesterday.
Yeah.
Randomly went past an elementary school. It was recess time.
Yeah.
98, I kid you not, 98% of the kids, Canucks jerseys.
Oh, yeah.
Canucks shirts. Everything. There was the one Edmonton Oilers kid with a dunce hat in the corner crying, but you know, it was Canucks fever. And it was like all the kids on the playground running around in blue.
I might be catching it even because I went to the store the other day, just over across the way in White Rock, and just going in the grocery store, and I saw a guy wearing a Messier Oilers jersey. I mean, that takes some balls to wear a Messier of all people in Vancouver. I almost chirped the guy. I'm not even a Canucks fan, so I'm getting into it as well. Good to see though. Love that. And also too, like just speaking of the grocery store, yeah, like everyone working in there is wearing jerseys. One of the things that I've really noticed though, Aaron, the knockoffs. Well,
so the car dealership near me, they have Canucks color jerseys with the dealership logo on them. So, but they're actual hockey jerseys with the dealership logo. And I'm like, wow. Like everybody's getting into it, man.
Well, hey, strike while the iron's hot, I guess, or while the Canucks are hot, try to, make some money off their back, I guess. Don't want to be putting that logo on there though. If you're the car dealership with the Canucks, that's a no-go. But let's get into it though. Let's hit rewind here as we'll go through games 3 and 4 and then get into some of those meatier topics surrounding the series. And boy, it kind of feels like the playoffs started with this series, right? There's so many storylines coming out of this. And of course, going back to game 3, the Canucks winning that one 4-3. Nils Höglander and Linus Karlsson making their playoff debuts as the Hog and PDG both out. I thought they were okay. Höglander and Karlsson. I know the head coach praised them. Höglander had that really good chance, if you remember, a shorthanded chance in that game. But the story of the game outside of the end of the game, which of course we're going to unpack, but the real story, at least on the Canucks side, Artūrs Šilovs. That guy was unbelievable in the game. 42 saves, robbed Leon Draisaitl a couple of times. And if you guys have been following any of the quotes that are coming out and the video that's coming out post game, he was asked about Draisaitl and the chance that he had, and he sort of sly was like, which one? And I love that too because of the fact that Draisaitl, he's always so pissy when things don't go his way, right? And post game, he sort of downplayed it by saying, well, hit 4 posts, and I'm paraphrasing here, but hitting the post isn't good goaltending. Not all posts are equal though, Aaron.
Yeah.
Right? If you're taking away the angle and all they have is that red iron, well, yeah, that is good goaltending. Now, if you just beat the goalie and then ring it off the post, which I believe on one of the chances that Draisaitl had, he did beat Šilovs. He flat out rang it off the post. So in that regard, like I said, not all posts are equal. And there's
or your JT Miller with a wide open net and shooting it on the ice and it rings off the post.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, and if you remember back to the Nashville series, right? Like that could have been a completely different series if it was, who was it that rang it off the post? There was the local product, a local boy from here, Sissons. Yeah, that's right. Anyway, let's not go back to that. Brock Boeser, though, I don't want to say robbed of a natural hat trick because he did say post game that he knew that Lindholm tipped the first one. So, when the hats are sort of going, on the ice, and there wasn't that many, that being that it was in Edmonton, but he knew. He was like, yeah, I knew that wasn't my hat trick. But I mean, Brock Boeser, full marks.
He shot it 3 times and it went in.
Yeah. And not only, well, yeah, exactly. I mean, go back and watch it though. It was a clear tip.
It was clear, but I'm saying he was still responsible for the shot, but it was a tip in, but yeah.
Boeser though, 7 goals now in the playoffs for the Canucks. Unbelievable. Calvin Pickard ended up playing the 3rd period of that game. I don't know if you caught this, Aaron, but the TNT broadcast, apparently their play-by-play and their color is remote. Come on, man. That's kind of bush. It's TNT. It's Ted Turner. The guy's got some money.
Yeah.
Send your host.
But that's what most of the broadcasters are doing now.
No,
man.
that's not true. There's some of them are. We're not doing it in Hockey Night in Canada's not doing it. Or sports.
No. But there are a lot more broadcasts off too than we realize.
And to be honest with you, it's more common than you think it is.
Yeah,
like this
it's
isn't
like
anything
in
new.
Europe. In Europe, it's
Yes.
been like
Yeah.
standard play for years in Europe.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, I know. One of my old colleagues that I've worked with in the past has called some European basketball. And yeah, he was calling it off monitors before. So yeah, it happens more than you think. But this is the Stanley Cup playoffs. This is TNT. Like, you're a brand new partner with the NHL. Like, send your people. And the reason why I bring this up is because Calvin Pickard started the third period. They didn't pick it up until almost 3 minutes into the third, the broadcast.
Which also, if you're calling it off tube, don't you have like a side monitor that has like the live stats going on who's on the ice and everything?
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely.
Like,
yeah.
like,
And not only that, they had boots on the ground there. They had their rinkside reporter there.
Yeah.
They also had a producer there. So it's on the producer really at that point, right? The producer should be like, hey guys, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, it's Bush. And it was not a good look for TNT. But Calvin Pickard started the third period for the Oilers. The Oilers had their push in the third and were able to get it to one goal. And of course, you mentioned that post that JT Miller hit. But Pickard was clean. He had a clean sheet in the third period. I thought he was okay. We're definitely going to be talking about him, though, in game 4. Now, the real story of game 3, though, was what happened at the end. Carson Soucy with the cross-check to Connor McDavid's face. He gets a 1-game suspension. Nikita Zadorov, who kind of helped that situation sort of along, with the push from behind into McDavid. McDavid sort of falls forward. Soucy's stick catches him square in the mug. Soucy post-game, just listen, it's an unfortunate incident. And it was. You could see that was no intent in terms of, hitting McDavid right in the face.
Yeah, he was just trying to just hit him back after the slash that McDavid gave him. So
a couple things here. I've heard some people talking about the slash that McDavid gave him. The slash that McDavid gave him was nothing. It was a hit. He hit him in the pants. But there was one that was missed that should have definitely, if you're going to give Soucy a suspension, probably should have suspended Zach Hyman, because he cross-checked Zadorov pretty damn hard in the face as well. And that one sort of flew under the radars. I don't know why Zadorov got 5K for the push. It's completely ridiculous. And I love Zadorov's, it wasn't post-game, it was the next day, I guess, talking about how, the league has to protect their investment when it comes to Connor McDavid. I've seen other people say, what other leagues allow their stars to get treated like this? Well, the NFL does to a certain degree, right? It's a tough sport. I know quarterbacks are basically, untouchable almost nowadays, but star players do get their bell rung in the NFL. You see it. But this is the thing, this is contact sports. You can't, make that comparison to, the NBA or soccer or anything like that, right? Because it's a contact sport. And I don't know about you. Like, Soucy admitted, like, there was no intent. I got him in the face. I got to serve a game.
Yep. I'm
completely fine with it. And I loved McDavid the next day as well. It was just like, yeah, I'm fine. It's part of hockey. You gotta love that. Hockey players, man, they're tough SOBs. I tell you that. I do love the off-ice battles between the fan bases, though, because Canuck fans they can be bitchy, they can be whiny, but you know what? Every fan base can. And we're really seeing it with Edmonton as well. We see it a lot because, or I see it a lot at least, because I run our socials for Vancouver Hockey. And on our TikTok and our Instagram, we post up all the juicy clips from the post games and all the scrums and whatnot. And just the back and forth between the fan bases. And I don't even read it all anymore. There's just so much going on. It's just like, all right, well, let them engage. I don't really have anything else to say. I don't have a dog in this fight. All right, game 4 then. Oilers pull it out 3-2. And it was a fantastic game. That was a great hockey. This whole series has been awesome. We have to go 7. I know I predicted 6. You said 7.
Yep.
So I hope we go the distance. I really do hope we go the distance.
Come on, game 7 down at Rogers Arena, man.
Man, that'll be. Oh. Noah Juulsen slots in for Carson Soucy in the game. And this is one of the things that I was worried about with Noah Juulsen. I love the big hits. I do. But the timing is just got to be right. And when he went for that big hit on Ekholm on the second goal by the Oilers, it was the RNH goal. That's my worry there, is he went for that big hit. Ekholm made a great play. Like, Ekholm took the hit, but Ekholm made that great play. Then it's odd man at that point and it's back of the net. So those are the things that worry me a bit about Noah Juulsen, but Noah Juulsen wasn't the story in this game at all. I thought Calvin Pickard was was good. I thought he was really good for him. And the funny thing is, and I should give him credit, it's the play-by-play host for the Abbotsford Canucks. He tweeted that the last time that Pickard and Šilovs had met each other was last year in the AHL playoffs, where Pickard playing for Bakersfield and Šilovs with Abbotsford.
Mm-hmm. They mentioned that on the broadcast too.
Yeah. So that was pretty cool, but interesting at the same time too, because like, who would have predicted that, right? Like, hey, I'll tell you what, the Canucks and the Oilers, they're going to, let's say this is October. And I said to you, okay, Canucks and Oilers are going to meet in the postseason, and it's going to be a real pivotal game 4. And the Oilers are going to start Calvin Pickard against Artūrs Šilovs.
Yeah.
And what the hell?
Both teams aren't going to have their starting goaltenders in net.
It's not even their starters. I mean, Šilovs their third.
Yeah.
And Pickard, I mean, technically he became the backup, but if you were to start, was Pickard even on the Oilers to start at the start of the season? I don't know. If Pickard's one of those guys that if you go and look at his DB, it's like, oh yeah, he played there. Oh yeah.
You look up journeyman in the dictionary.
Oh yeah, he's right there. He's right there with you. So he gets his first career playoff start, and I thought he was good, but Šilovs was outstanding once again. We've heard a bit of news about Thatcher Demko that came down today, so we'll talk about that in just a moment. But in this game, as we sort of stay focused here, I thought Šilovs was really good. Canucks stayed in the fight too. Like they were down, they tied the game with the empty net.
Mm-hmm.
Which
Connor. Well, so after the Connor Garland goal,
I'm in love with Connor Garland right now.
He comes flying off the bench, and it looked like he had a second one in him here, but like Pickard just stopped it. But I mean, like Connor wanted that second goal so bad.
Just 2 goals in the playoffs so far for Garland, but he just feels like he's made so much more of an impact.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, where is he at for points? He's just 4 points in the 10 games, but he just feels like when he's out there, and obviously, Joshua and Lindholm, they're picking up the points on that line. But yeah, I mean,
but it's Garland setting them up,
well, sort of. Yeah. I mean, he's not getting the points from it, but he's definitely doing the grunt work, which is hilarious for a guy his size. He's just a water bug out there. I absolutely love it. But also too, I know he's taking a lot of heat in the market right now, and rightfully so, because Elias Pettersson is on a milk carton right now. But that face-off win on the game-tying goal was massive. Mm-hmm. Absolutely massive, and a great little play there as well. Just overall, I thought it was a really good sequence for the Canucks. And then, what was it? How many seconds later?
Like 38 seconds later. Yeah. Or no, it was 38 seconds left in the period.
Yeah, it was a minute. The Joshua goal was at 18:19, and the Bouchard goal was at 19:21. So just over a minute later, Bouchard back in the net. So, hey, listen, Edmonton needed that big time. Would have been real tough to, beat the Canucks 3 times in a row, but heading back to Vancouver 2-2. And hey, I'll tell you what, through 4 games, the entertainment value is full marks. Okay, let's dive into some of the stuff though, because, as suggested earlier, there's just so many things that are going on in the series right now. I want to start with the sort of freshest stuff, which just came out. We're recording this on Wednesday, sort of middle of the afternoon right now. We heard from Rick Tocchet. We heard from Elias Pettersson today. Rick Tocchet saying that Demko has improved immensely over the last 72 hours. Could be an option for game 6 or 7. And of course, if needed, right? I know that Dollywall's been tweeting that as well, or been talking about that on his show as well. He's been saying, hey guys, I've been saying this, like he could be an option. Same time too, though, like, listen, I know Vezina finalist, right? The body of work that is Thatcher Demko, but like, would you be playing with fire if you were to take Šilovs out of the net right now, especially with Demko being down for so long?
Well, we didn't even mention it in the rewind. What about that like attack that Šilovs had at Kane to come out and poke check? Right.
Oh yes. Oh my goodness. Thank you for bringing that up. That was unbelievable play. That's what I'm saying. He's dialed in right now, Aaron. The moment is not too big for this kid at all. Like he's seizing the moment. He loves it. He's embracing it. I mean, even after he got chirped there by Draisaitl, which I don't even know if he even had heard that, but just that subtle, which one, when he was asked about, Robin Draisaitl, like, again, he's cool. Like nothing's phasing him right now. So I don't know. I think you might be playing with fire. And I know it sounds ridiculous to say that because Thatcher Demko has essentially been the MVP of this team this year. But I mean, when you're riding a hot tender like Artūrs Šilovs is right now, you could be playing with fire if you were to, try to insert somebody who's been, sitting in the press box for the last few weeks. Talkett also suggested that Podkolzin, Arshdeep Bains, or Nils Höglander are all options for Game 5. He can't stand Höglander's game right now. He cannot. And, I don't know if it's maybe the relationship that the two have or whatnot, but he's hard on Höglander. He's been hard on him all season. Mm-hmm. And again, like I said, maybe it's the relationship and maybe that's just the sort of best way to get the most out of Nils. I don't know. But right now, Talkett doesn't want to see him on the ice. So interesting that he was. So
bring in Pods, man.
I don't understand why they're hesitating to bring Vasily Podkolzin into these playoffs, really. Right. And, as we talked about, the struggles that are Elias Pettersson. Well, I mean, at the same time, too, look at his rotating wingers right now. Guys are doing nothing. And how many games are we approaching? I'm not even going to count anymore with Mikheyev. I don't give a shit anymore. I just don't. Mm-hmm. At this point, the guy, he's useless. Pucks go to die on his stick. Interesting what they're going to do with that guy in the offseason. Let's stay in the moment here. I saw PJ tweeting that I guess Talkett was asked about Lekkerimäki, and he said, yeah, everyone's an option at this point. Now, the story of that would be fantastic, right?
Yeah.
I don't think the kid's ready. But again, I don't know. I haven't watched a single Abbotsford Canucks game with him in the lineup. I haven't seen outside of, a few clips from him in the SHL. And yeah, looks like he's an intriguing player. This is the Stanley Cup playoffs though, man. That's a tough train to jump on when it's moving like that, right? So although it would be kind of a cool story, I do not see Jonathan Lekkerimäki being an option for the Canucks. Now, Rick Tocchet post-game, Game 4, he called out a few players. Said 5 or 6 guys need to get going. I always find that when
passengers was the word used. Yeah.
I always find that when he's got Pettersson in the crosshairs, he is very careful with his words, right? And, we need 5 or 6 guys. He's one of those 5 or 6 guys. In fact, he's probably number 1 on that list. He's got 1 goal in the playoffs. What's he got? 4 points? How many of them are power play as well? Yeah. So 2 of his 4 points are on the power play. He's got a goal and an assist on the power play. So he's got 2 5-on-5 points in 10 games. This is a guy that is going to make the 5th highest AAV in the league next year. Now that could change this summer. I know. Although I don't know how many guys are going to be hitting those kind of home runs this summer. It's not nothing, Aaron. No. He's a -2 as well. You look at all the top guys for the Canucks. They all are on the positive side of the plus minus. And yeah, I know you can tell me how much plus minus is a stupid stat. I get that. But in these playoffs right now, what is Elias Pettersson's defining moment in these playoffs? Was it the series winning goal where he made that great play behind the net and then the puck came out and back of the net? We all know how it ended. But other than that, what is it? Right? So with Pettersson right now, he was asked today, and let me just pull it up here because I don't want to misquote him what he said. He's not hurt. Here it is. Patrick Johnson, PJ, tweeting this. I'm trying out there, maybe not going in the best way. And then PJ replies underneath, but no answer to why it's not going well. So, and I saw some people too, drawing the comparison to the Sedins when they had their first sort of run in the postseason. And forgive me, I'm old, but my memory stinks. So I don't quite remember the way they debuted in the postseason. But as we know, I remember them taking heat when they first came into the league, but obviously they became 2 of the greatest players to ever play, especially for Vancouver, but 2 of the best players, in my opinion, in NHL history. They're wonderful on the ice. So it took them a bit of time. Maybe it'll take PD's a bit of time, but this team can't wait right now. They need guys to step up. This Oilers team is formidable.
They're coming out swinging.
Yeah. That power play. We talked about the power play going into the series, made a TikTok video around it, even had a couple of people question, almost being well, who cares about power play? What do you mean who cares about power play? That's where the Oilers feast. Mm-hmm. They're 50% in the series. They were 45 going into the series. They're improved it right now. They're 5 for 10. So they're winning the special teams battle right now 5-3. Whereas the Canucks are winning the 5-on-5 battle, but it's slim. It's 8-7 right now in terms of goals scored. But the Canucks power play just 3 for 12 in the series. So like that's where Pettersson can really
at least they got something on the power play, because Edmonton on the PK in the postseason was at 100% at the start of the series.
That is true. That is true. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they were clean against LA. Good pull there, Aaron. But guys got to step up. I mean, we talked about Phil Hronek, and it's going to be a storyline going into the offseason, what they're going to do with Phil Hronek, like, because they've only got so many dollars. We all know how many guys they have to re-sign. There's got to be a priority. I'm not spending $7 million on Phil Hronek if I'm Patrick Allvin, Jim Rutherford, Francesco Aquilini, for that matter. I am not spending that on Phil Hronek. Now, you want to convince me on a $5 million or so for Nikita Zadorov? Giddy up. But Hronek in these playoffs, can you guess how many points he's got, Aaron? Because if you said
None.
0, you'd be right.
Yeah.
I mean, and this is a guy that was racking up the points early on in the season. Just, that Quinn Hughes bump was really, really working for him, right? You just get points through osmosis with him. But here he is. And don't get me wrong, like the counting stats are not all of Phil Hronek's game, but you'd want him to chip in. It'd be nice to get a goal or two. Zadorov's got 4. Zadorov's got 8 points, bro. Like, just having and he's becoming just a massive folk hero as well. Like the entire fan base is behind him right now.
And even every time somebody scratched or just glazed past Zadorov in the game last night in Edmonton, everybody in the Oilers crowd and fan base inside were just screaming like, yeah, we hit him.
Yeah. No, that's what you want. Like, right. He's taking the heat away from his better players as well. Right. He's doing his job to a T. And then, of course, the fact that he's supplying offense is just incredible. And not only that, like, he's a bit of a sniper, man. Like, he can pick a corner. And he's such a great quote, as we've seen. He's just phenomenal. He's been fantastic throughout this postseason. And the funny thing is, too, is now that, the Canucks are involved in this, later on in the season, the rest of the media sort of has caught up to who the Canucks are, what their personalities are like. Because during the regular season, like, let's be honest, the Eastern media just doesn't
give... in bed. They're in bed.
Well, they don't give the West. Yeah, exactly. They don't give the West the same sort of, microscope that they give the Eastern teams, or the Eastern time zone teams, at least. Right. So, the fact that, Zadorov sort of having his coming out party for the media is great. I mean, I listen to the Overdrive show very often. I love that show. And those guys are, praising Zadorov. I mean, listen, the Toronto Maple Leafs are going to be sniffing big time around his camp this offseason. And they're not going to be the only ones. What he's doing right now, like, his agent is sitting there going, yeah, like, giddy up. Here we go. And Phil Hronek's agent, of course, maybe not so much. Mikheyev, though, as I mentioned, 0 points, -4. So there's another guy that, 5 or 6 guys that got to get going. Talked about Pettersson. There's plenty of guys that need to step up here. And it can't be all just, Miller, Boeser, Lindholm, Joshua, Zadorov. Got to get Pettersson involved in there. And for that matter, even Quinn Hughes, right? Like, Quinn Hughes has got 9 points, 9 assists, no goals yet in the playoffs. But I mean, have we had a Quinn Hughes moment just yet? I don't know if we've had one just yet.
I mean, he's made some nice plays.
He's Quinn Hughes. Like, he's going to, like I said, I'm actually kind of surprised that he's almost a point a game. But I shouldn't be, because that's Quinn Hughes. He's just seems to find points wherever he goes. So yeah, there are guys, and it's not just the obvious guys. Like, some guys too that, they can get a little more out of. I do like what Elias Lindholm is supplying, though. Yeah. I think Elias Lindholm has been full marks throughout these playoffs. And it's the little things, as we've talked about before, the subtleness of his defensive plays. But he's been good. He's been very good. Okay, so let's get into game 5 now. Now, what are we expecting here, Aaron?
Definitely, I think there's probably about 10 more decibels that the Rogers Arena crowd can bring.
Yeah.
It's going to be loud in there, man.
What do you think lineup-wise, though?
Lineup-wise, come on. Get Pods in there, man. Get Pods in there. We need to see him.
Yeah, I'd like to see the debut of Pods in this postseason. I'm wondering about the goaltending for the Oilers. Do they go back to Skinner? I don't think Calvin Pickard lost the net last night. Absolutely not. Gets the W. No. Like I said, I thought he was solid in the game. It'll be interesting what they do with Skinner. But yeah, I do expect a few changes for the Canucks up front, and I'm wondering if it's going to be Pods.
I think they want to try Pickard on the road, right?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, you might as well. Like, Stuart Skinner's been absolutely awful. Like, absolutely awful. And you could see it. Like, he's lost his confidence. Seems like one of those guys, too, that rides off that sort of mental, game pretty heavy. And what I mean by that is, when he starts to slip, like if you're, I want to say Chuck Knobloch, but if you're Chris Knobloch, you understand that, right? We'll see exactly what they can get from Pickard. And if they can get a road win, maybe they stick with him. Game 5 is the biggest game of the series right now for the Canucks. Got to get the dub at home, take control of the series going back to Edmonton. So we'll see what comes of all of that. And of course, we'll be here with you to unpack it all because, man, this has been an incredible series. Incredible. Fun. Like I said, it feels like the playoffs kind of just started. Like that first round was, I think we all knew that the Canucks were going to get past the Preds. Maybe didn't give the Preds as much credit as perhaps they deserve.
Also, it's just a mental thing for me. It's like, that's East Coast. Nashville's East Coast. It's like, it's Edmonton. They're right down, like just down the road, as it were, right?
Well, I told you that I mentioned that I'm a fan of the Overdrive show. That is one of the things that the hosts on there have been crying about. Why is it on Sunday night at 10 o'clock Eastern? Well, that's because it's prime time for us.
As the earth turns.
You're right. Like, sorry guys, like the world does not revolve around the Eastern media and their bedtime. So stay up, watch it. Hey, I mean, you talk sports for a living. Just stay up late. It'll be all right. All right. Like I said, we'll be back. When are we going? Probably after game 6. We'll have to see. Will there be a game 7? Will we be moving on? We'll be teeing up the Western Conference final. We'll have to see. But right now, it's locked at 2 apiece as they head back to Vancouver. Thanks for listening, everyone.